Hello. Today we are talking about a very special story. It is the story of the Nobel Prize. This is a story about a man, a mistake, and a mission to make the world a better place. It is a story about celebrating the greatest ideas and the bravest people. Our story begins a long time ago in the 19th century. In the country of Sweden, a baby boy was born. His name was Alfred Nobel. Alfred was born in 1833. He was a curious boy. He loved books and science and languages. In fact, by the time he was an adult, Alfred Nobel could speak 5 languages. He was very intelligent. Alfred's father was an engineer and an inventor. An inventor makes new things, so Alfred learned about science and business from his father. Alfred was especially interested in chemistry. He experimented with different materials. He wanted to create something useful. At that time, people used a very powerful explosive for construction and mining. This explosive was called nitroglycerin. But nitroglycerin was extremely dangerous. It could explode very easily. Many people were hurt. Alfred Nobel wanted to solve this problem. He wanted to make nitroglycerin safe to use. For many years, he worked in his laboratory. A laboratory is a room for scientific experiments. He tested many different ideas. It was difficult and dangerous work. Then, one day, he had an accident. There was a big explosion. Alfred's laboratory was destroyed. Some people died. It was a terrible tragedy. But Alfred did not stop. He continued his work. Finally, he found a solution. He mixed the dangerous nitroglycerin with a special kind of sand. This created a new material. It was a paste that you could shape into sticks. This new material was stable. It did not explode easily. You could transport it safely. But when you needed it to explode, you could use a simple fuse. Alfred called his invention dynamite. Dynamite changed the world. It was a great success. Builders and miners could now do their work more safely and more quickly. They could build tunnels through mountains. They could clear land to make roads and railways. Dynamite helped to build our modern world. Alfred Nobel became a very, very rich man. He started many companies in many different countries. He owned almost 100 factories. He had more than 350 inventions. But something happened that changed Alfred Nobel's life forever. One morning, he opened a newspaper. He read his own obituary. An obituary is the news story about a person's life after they die. But Alfred Nobel was not dead. The newspaper made a mistake. They confused Alfred with his brother, who had died. So Alfred Nobel read the story of his own life. The newspaper called him the Merchant of Death. The Merchant of Death. They said he became rich by inventing new ways to kill people. This was because his dynamite was also used in wars. This idea hurt Alfred very deeply. He was very sad. He did not want people to remember him like this. He did not want his legacy to be only death and destruction. A legacy is how people remember you after you die. He thought about his life. He had all this money. He had all this success. But what was the real purpose? He decided to use his great wealth for good. He wanted to reward people who helped humanity. He wanted to give prizes to the people who made the world a better, more peaceful place. So, Alfred Nobel wrote his last will and testament. This is a legal document. It says what should happen to a person's money and property after they die. His will was surprising. He did not give most of his money to his family. Instead, he used almost all of his enormous fortune to create a fund. A fund is like a big bank account. The money in this fund would be used to give prizes every year. He wrote very clear rules. The prizes should go to people who gave the greatest benefit to humankind. He named 5 areas. First, physics. This is the science of matter and energy. Second, chemistry. This is the science of substances. Third, medicine or physiology. This is the science of the human body and health. Fourth, literature. This is the art of writing books and poetry. And fifth, peace. This is for work to bring people together and end wars. This was his dream, a dream to encourage the best minds in the world, a dream to celebrate peace and knowledge. When Alfred Nobel died in 1896, his family was very shocked by his will. They did not like the idea. It took many years to organize everything. But finally, in 1901, the first Nobel Prizes were awarded, given to someone. And so, the Nobel Prize was born. Not from a simple idea of reward, but from a man's deep desire to change his story. He turned his legacy from the merchant of death to a champion for life, knowledge, and peace. Now, let us talk about the prizes themselves. Every year in the autumn, the Nobel committees announce the winners. These committees are groups of very smart professors and experts. They study nominations from all over the world. A nomination is when someone suggests a person for the prize. This process is very secret. Then, on the 10th of December, there is a big celebration. This date is special because it is the anniversary of Alfred Nobel's death. The prizes for physics, chemistry, medicine, and literature are given in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden. The King of Sweden gives the winners their prizes. It is a beautiful ceremony with music and flowers. The Nobel Peace Prize, however, is given in a different country. It is given in Oslo, the capital of Norway. Why? Because when Alfred Nobel wrote his will, Sweden and Norway were one country. He decided the Peace Prize should be given by Norway. So the chairman of the Norwegian Nobel Committee gives the prize. Often, the King and Queen of Norway are there too. What do the winners receive? They receive three things. First, a diploma. This is a special handmade certificate. Each diploma is a unique work of art. Second, they receive a gold medal. The medal has a picture of Alfred Nobel on it. And third, they receive a sum of money. This money comes from the interest on Alfred Nobel's original fund. Today, it is about $1 million. The winners can use this money to continue their important work. Who are some of the famous Nobel Prize winners? You know many of them. In physics, Albert Einstein won the prize. In chemistry, Marie Curie won. She also won the prize in physics. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. In medicine, Alexander Fleming won for discovering penicillin, a medicine that saves millions of lives. In literature, famous writers like Ernest Hemingway and Toni Morrison have won. The Peace Prize has some of the most famous names. Martin Luther King Jr. won for fighting for civil rights without violence. Mother Teresa won for helping the poor in India. Nelson Mandela won for ending apartheid in South Africa. Malala Yousafzai won for her brave fight for education for all girls. She is the youngest winner ever. The story of the Nobel Prize is also a story of inspiration. It shows us that one person can change their story. Alfred Nobel used his wealth not for himself, but for the future. He created a system that finds and honors the best of humanity. When you hear about a new Nobel winner, it is often a story of years of hard work. It is a story of patience, failure, and then success. These people often work in silence for many years. They do experiments that fail. They write books that no one reads at first. They work for peace when no one is listening. The Nobel Prize shines a light on them and says, "Thank you. Your work is important. The prize is not perfect. Sometimes people disagree with the winners. Sometimes the committees make mistakes. But for more than 100 years, it has been the most famous prize in the world. It reminds us every year about the power of ideas. It reminds us that science, literature, and peace are all connected. They are all about understanding our world and improving life for everyone. So, what is the message for us? You do not need to be a scientist or a writer to learn from this story. The message is about intention. Alfred Nobel asked himself a big question. How do I want to be remembered? He then used his resources to match his new intention. We can all ask ourselves smaller versions of that question. How can I use my skills, my time, or my voice to help others? Maybe your contribution will be kindness in your community. Maybe it will be learning something new. Maybe it will be simply sharing good ideas. The Nobel Prize shows us that progress is possible. It is a story of hope. Every year, new winners stand on that stage. They come from all countries, all religions, and all backgrounds. They show us that great things are happening everywhere. They inspire the next generation. Maybe one of you, listening to this, will win a Nobel Prize one day. Maybe you will solve a big problem. Maybe you will write a beautiful story. Maybe you will build bridges between people. The story of the Nobel Prize started with an explosion, a newspaper article, and a change of heart. It continues today as a global celebration of human achievement. It is a gift from the past to the future. A gift from a man who decided that his final invention would not be something that breaks the world, but something that helps to fix it and make it brighter. That is a story worth remembering. Thank you for listening.